Hello, it's Donna from Taffy Crafting, and it's the usual thing going on my craft table. Beyond this bit that you can see is just complete devastation. So when I get home from work tonight, I've got to do something about this craft space. So that's my job for this evening when I come back. What I'm going to do today is make an easel card. Now, I haven't got one to show you, because I am really pushed for time. I've got to go to work in the next couple of hours, so I need to crack on. So hopefully you've seen the picture in the thumbnail and think, I fancy making that, or you've maybe clicked on this link through Pinterest, or you've clicked on it through my blog. Whatever way you've ended up here, thank you very much for joining me. I've got everything pre-cut out already, so hopefully that'll make it easier and quicker. So I'm using Blueberry Bushel cardstock because I've fallen in love with Blueberry Bushel. I've always liked the colour but never bought it, so this was something that I wanted to have a go at using. So this piece of card measures 11 3/4 by 4 1/8, and I've scored that along the long side at 5 7/8 and 8 7/8. And what I'm going to do, this bit is my base. I'm going to fold that over that way and burnish that, open that up, and then fold this one inwards like that. And then what that's going to do is then sit like that. Now at the moment that won't do that because there's not enough weight on this bit, so we need to actually create that weight so that will sit. So this is the inside of the card. So the first thing I'm going to do is just decorate the inside of my card by putting on a base of DSP. This is the Press Petals Designer Series paper, and so this piece measures 4 inches by 5 3/4, and that's going to sit in the middle of my card. I need to find some glue. Honestly, this table is so untidy. So I'm going to use multi-purpose liquid glue for this, just because it's easier to make sure that we get it in the correct position. All of the dimensions and product details are in the blog post that goes with this tutorial, and I've left a link for that in the description bar. Or you can just follow along with me now and pause as we go along. It's entirely up to you. So that's my base. And then what I need is then this to sit there that's going to hold that in place. And we're going to put that on there as well. So this piece of DSP, this little bit, measures 3 inches by 1.5 inches. And then I've got a piece of DSP that goes with that, that's 2 7/8 by 1 3/8. That's going to sit there like that. So just stick that on there as well. I'm celebrating today because this is day 16 of the 31 Days Craft Challenge, and so I'm celebrating because I've made it to halfway. I've managed to do at least a blog post once a day, but I've also done, this is day 16, that means I've done 14 videos in 16 days, which when you're working full time, it's quite an achievement. Just finding the time to fit them in, doing a lot of filming ahead of time. There's some days that I film 3 videos in one day. That's a blog post that goes with that as well. So, you know, I'm really pleased with, you know, how that's gone. So what I want to do is then just, I'm going to put that there in the middle, and I need to raise it with some mini dimensionals. And guess what? I can't find those either. There they go. Everything is under everything. Now I'm going to use a few for this because I need this to really stand up on the card. So get that back again, and now I've got to try and get them off. just put that there, get it central. You want it to be, let's measure it. That is about 1/2 inch from the bottom, and then I've got that in the middle like that. And I have really just eyeballed that, to be honest. There's no, and then that's going to sit like that. So we need to decorate this front piece. I've got no contrast with this because these flowers are just so pretty. I'm not using any contrast paper. I just want it to be all flowers. This piece of DSP measures 4 inches by 2 3/4. And then I want that to sit on this front piece like that. I can just hear in the other room, my daughter has put the kettle on. I wonder if she'll make me a cup of tea as well. I won't hold out much hope. So there we have the front of our card, lots and lots of pretty flowers going on there. We need a little bit more weight on there. And this is how we're going to do that. So we need a piece of DSP, no, we don't, we need 2 pieces of cardstock, one in Very Vanilla and one in Blueberry Bushel. So here's my piece of Very Vanilla cardstock. This measures 2 3/4 by 3 3/4, and I've stamped this off camera. I've taken the Beautiful Moments stamp set. So this is from the new mini catalogue that's out at the moment. That went live on the 3rd of January and continues right round till the end of May, beginning of June. So this is Beautiful Moments, just got some lovely images on here. I've got 2 daughters myself, and I particularly love that. That's just what they were like when they were little, walking along the beach with their buckets. I'd like to say that that looks like me walking through a meadow. It absolutely doesn't. But there we are. So I've stamped that just with, you could use black, you could use basic grey, entirely up to you what colour you would want to use. But I thought I would colour that, and I've taken our watercolour pencils. So I've got 2 of them. I'm just going to colour their, I'm going to keep it simple, colour their dresses in Daffodil Delight, and then colour their hair in Early Espresso. And I want to show you how easy it is to use these watercolour pencils, because you don't need to be artistic to use them. So you just put a little bit of a squiggle in those, because when we get the blender pens out, that actually just blends that colour. So just a bit of colour there. It's just, it literally is just a squiggle. And they're going to have yellow dresses, because we've got yellow in the DSP that we're using. And I'm just drawing just a few lines like that. She's going to be wearing a yellow dress as well, just because I've got yellow in the card. So that looks pretty pants at the moment. So I'm just going to get one of these blender pens. And you don't need too much pressure with this. All you're doing is just blending that colour in there. And you don't want to do too much of it, because these are damp. They're not wet as such, but they are damp. You don't need to put any water in them. They're not like the aqua painters. And then to get the colour off, you just squiggle like that. There's hardly anything on it. And then we're just going to blend. I prefer these watercolour pencils to the stamping blends, just because they're a little bit more subtle. But I've seen people use the blender pens, the stamping blends, and they do an absolutely exquisite job of them. I'm not, I just need more practice using them, really. just blending this colour in here. Don't colour too much with this because your paper or your card could start to fall apart. So we've got that, and I'm just keeping that simple because that's what I think this card needs. For a more perhaps intricate design, you might want to put more colour on it. So I now need a piece of blueberry bushel, which I thought I'd cut out. Clearly hadn't. So I need a piece of blueberry bushel. Let's get my trimmer out and we'll get that going now. This is going to measure 3 7/8 by 2 7/8. I probably have already cut it out, it's just lying somewhere. Because I know I've cut it out because that measures 3 7/8. There's a piece of card hanging about somewhere. So there's my blueberry bushel. There's my stamped and coloured image. And then where that's going to go is that's going to sit on there like that. So I'm just going to stick this if the glue will come out. Put that on there like that so that we've got a nice border all the way around. And I want that to sit. I think the other thing I need to do is just crease that a little bit better. I'm going to get that to sit on there like that, and I'm just going to glue that on, but I need to get it central as possible. And then when that folds, just folds flat like that and be put in an envelope. So we need to make sure that we're just putting glue on this bit here. Don't want glue all over the back of this. Just on there. I'm just going to do this on the bottom half of this card. And then very carefully, I need this to match, so I'm going to put that down like that and then put that card there so I can see exactly where it is. And I'm just using the top of the little girl's head as a guide because I didn't put any glue above her head. And that's the beauty of using liquid glue, in that you can manoeuvre it if you need to. And that now sits quite nicely like that. We need to put a sentiment on there. The Beautiful Moments stamp set has a very simple sentiment on there. So I've just got that one there that says thinking of you, and that fits quite nicely there. So I need to find my ink block. That was my ink. So put that on there, and I'm going to, I think what I'm going to do is use my scallop punches. Let's just get those down. And I'm going to get my piece of very vanilla cardstock back, and I'm going to stamp this in blueberry bushel. So ink up my stamp, and then I'm going to get, that's not the right one, I'm going to get my 1 3/8 of an inch. That might fit. It just fits. Do I want a scalloped? I don't know if I do. I'm changing my mind, because that's what happens when I'm literally part way through a project. I'm actually going to use some straight lines on this. So I'm just going to trim that there. That's a little bit on the crooked side. So let's just trim this here. So I've got the nice lines on here, just guiding that just to make sure that I've got that straight. And then once I've got that straight, I'm just going to trim this down. Down a bit more on that side as well. Would have been easier if I'd used a circle punch. We've got that there like that. I still want to trim a piece off of that. Otherwise I'm going to keep looking at that and not like it. But I can't, there's my scissors. No, can't find my scissors, so I'm not going to trim it. So that's going to sit there like that. So I just need some dimensionals for that piece as well. So the moral of the story is, tidy up your craft space before you start crafting. It does make life a whole lot easier. I'm just going to put that in the middle there, like that. And because I like using them, I'm going to put some rhinestones on there as well. Just to give this a little bit of bling. Put one there, and I'll put one in the other corner as well. And there we go. That is an easel card using the Beautiful Moments stamp set and the Press Petals Designer Series paper. And I hope you like that. Join me again tomorrow. We'll be on day 17. We'll be on the second half of the 31 Days Craft Challenge. Thank you ever so much for joining me today, and I'll be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.